Get ready.
I just wanted to say that I love Gustave's protective measures. How he says to Maëlle to stay behind me just with a movement, but she listens. I just think there's something so sweet about that and shows a lot about his character. What we are willing to protect at our own cost are the things that matter a lot to us, matter more than we do. He's a caretaker, he cares for others. That also means that he's probably more of a super feeler and cares very deeply and feels things very deeply.
Which expedition are you from? Fall back!
Was not expecting that. Ruth, I did not expect. Okay.
Gustave, come on, we need to go!
When we go through an anxiety response, often we can feel that we don't hear things, everything is zoned in, and you can hear his heartbeat pumping that adrenaline in. What happens isn't that time slows down, it actually means that we're processing faster, so it seems like time is slowing down, and you end up with that tunnel vision, and everything has a difficulty to focus while we're super focused on other things. A lot of times it takes our brain a few moments to be able to rev up. People with high anxiety responses that are actually more anxious are actually better at dealing with anxiety situations. Often they're revved up and ready for action, which makes them seem like they're too anxious or they're overdoing things. But in a life or death situation, you want your anxiety system to kick into gear to get ready to prepare you for danger and unforeseen danger. And so people that live in parts of the world that may have seen more danger and difficult situations often have a lot of people that have more anxiety situations. In times of calm, anxiety can be a detriment, but in times of danger, anxiety is the thing that's going to keep you alive.
He's not following. What the f? Who the f was that?
It's interesting that when you swear in French, it kind of just goes by and no one sees it. But I was like, whoa, wait a second here.
Regroup at the rally point. The indigo tree. Run! Keep going! Come on, move! Snap out!
Two things. Everyone naturally has different reactions to anxiety. I have a lot of people that feel guilt when they have a freeze response. They think that that is less beneficial. It really depends on the situation. Sometimes it is better to run. Sometimes it's better to fight. Sometimes it's better to fawn or to freeze. You don't want to feel guilty about what your natural reaction is. You can train yourself in order to be better at situations to know what's happening, but our natural response just is that, and you don't want to feel guilty because of it, because in this case it seems like his natural reaction to just freeze and try to process, you can tell that his brain hasn't caught into gear of what exactly is happening, and he's not sure what is the best way to handle this, which is the way to go, and so it's taking him some moments. It's a natural response. It will overwrite your brain, your processing system, and you're just going to do that. And you also want to know that just because you freeze in one situation doesn't mean that you'll freeze in another situation. Different situations affect us in different ways. Also, it doesn't mean that you'll freeze in the same situation. We learn from things, we can train ourselves, and sometimes we're just in a different mode. This kind of a panic attack, when you can feel your heart beating so fast, it's really painful. For many people, the first time they have a panic attack, they often go to the hospital thinking that they're having a heart attack, which if you're not sure, you should go to the hospital. That's the right thing to do. But it's also really embarrassing often for people that go to the hospital thinking that they're going through a life or death experience to find out that they are just having a very strong anxiety response. That happens because we have this rush of cortisol and epinephrine into our system that's getting us prepared for danger, or sometimes it's just happening because of a thought or an emotion. It's running through it like an emergency broadcast system, getting us prepared or reliving that trauma inside of our body. It isn't dangerous. That's the thing that you need to know, and that it will pass. But it is exceptionally distressful. It can cause pain. It can cause this feeling of doom. You can sometimes feel depersonalized, where you're not really there, or this isn't real, or you're in a dream, or you're already dead. And those are all really, really scary. It's our body's way to protect us from things that might be too difficult for us to process. So it pulls us back from it so we can continue on. If you're not sure, you still should make sure to get it checked out. By having our anxiety system run, the next time that there's danger, it will be faster to act. Anything that you practice, you'll get better at. Neurons that wire together will fire together. So your adrenaline reaction will be quicker. And in life or death situations, that's really beneficial. For people that work in high stress, high reaction kind of jobs, they're actually really, really good at turning on and turning off their anxiety system. That's what they practice. You want to have anxiety in a life or death situation. It makes you faster, think sooner, be able to focus on things, and be able to do what you have to do. Sometimes that might not be what you want to do. So that anxiety system that we often don't want and we're trying to control, it's not there to hurt us. It really is there to make sure that we will stay alive. Unfortunately, sometimes it's activated when we don't need it, or it's not beneficial, and in some ways it can also be a detriment. So you want it to happen when you need it to, and you also want to understand it. And that's why therapy can be very beneficial. You understand what and why, work with it instead of against it. There's something that happens to us when we deal with survivor's guilt, when we are the ones that are left to carry all of the pain. And the way that we reflect on that can have a serious effect on our emotions and dealing with trauma. People that have survived really difficult situations, even when it isn't something that we had our own hand in, can make us feel exceptionally guilty, can make us think that we don't deserve it. Why was it us? Ask all kinds of existential questions that we may not have an answer to. And running through all of those different scenarios can often leave us with a lot of guilt. And that feeling that we're not worthy to be able to carry on can often be overwhelming. We also don't have a great support system of how do we deal with that? How do we talk about that? We have a difficulty in our culture, in Western culture, in how do we deal with death? Where do we place that? People often use euphemisms, and we don't even say the word death or murder or kill. We try to sugarcoat it, package it to make it more palatable. But I think that for a lot of people, that often diminishes the weight of what has happened. I think that it's easier for other people to talk about it. Even if they do, they usually walk around it. They've passed or they are no longer with us. But I think that that weight often can sometimes diminish the amount of pain that the people that have survived that are dealing with. Because we don't have those words and we're not taught, how do you speak about that? Especially when nothing really you can say can change this. You can't truly make it better. You can just be there and you can just support. And that makes this really difficult for the people that are also dealing with survivor's guilt. For Gustave, also, he probably is going through the weight of he didn't do anything to help others, and maybe That's what kept him alive. But then you look back and you often reflect on what I could have done. And that happens even if you did the best case scenario. In the end, you want to remember that we do the best we can with the amount of knowledge that we have at the time and the skill base that we have in order to deal with it. Sometimes you might even have this certain set of skills and you didn't use them, or you forgot something. We can only do the best that we can do. Also, people ask these questions that often make us feel even more guilty or feel worse, of like, why did you do that? Why didn't you do this? And there are all these weighted questions that can actually make people feel much worse. And that's often because we often try to push away these situations or make ourselves feel like we wouldn't do the same thing, or we would react better so that we can relieve ourselves of guilt. If this happened to us, we would make a better choice and hopefully protect or save those around us. But we never know how we're really going to react. It's a really difficult situation to put yourself into if you've never been through it. And even if you have been through it, everyone's going to react differently, even during the same type of situation.
You do that, we both die. Wake up, Gustave.
Lune. The others.
I know. We're the only ones left. You don't get to die.
It's just a matter of time before we're already dead. Look around, look.
This is not a foregone conclusion. When one falls, we continue.
And that thought of what we all struggle with really makes me think of the painter, the creator, and I don't know the actual backstory to all of it, but that we all create these scenarios inside our own head. What you tell yourself has an exceptionally strong value. Who do you see yourself as? What are the struggles that we all have inside our own mind? Similar to Gustave creating the gun, we often create our own difficulties inside of our own head and have all of these struggles of, why do you continue? What is your purpose? What do you bring to the world? What is your entire worldview? And why do you continue to fight? Who are you? And that's why dealing with your own negative self-talk, dealing with the struggles that you have within yourself are so very important. We are constantly at battle, and often that battle is with ourselves. We can be the biggest detriment or the greatest coach to be able to push ourselves forward, especially when times are difficult. Even the way that you look at a scenario, is it a difficulty or is it a challenge? Are you the victim or are you the survivor? Are you going to keep on going on? Now, I think that these words are sometimes simplistic in what actually happens within us. And when you can have a support system or find one, I'll put some numbers that might be there if you are dealing with your own struggles. But I think that this game shows a lot of that struggle against what seems to be unbeatable odds and what happens. And the cost to that with ourselves emotionally are so very strong in this game that we can then live through, portray all of the different feelings that are so true to us. And I think that that's why this game touches so many people, because the themes that are in it are so honest and true, and they don't sugarcoat the pain that we all struggle with life and its difficulties. And when it comes to us, even when we don't want to, even when it seems unfair, because often it isn't fair. And I think that that character of Luna, she is the moon that keeps things lit up when it seems like you are surrounded by darkness. So I think that her name is very apt in this scene. To have that one person that gives you that spark, that light to continue on when everything seems dark. Sometimes you just need a smile or a kind set of words. And I think that if we are more thoughtful and careful in what we say, we can change other people's situations, even by something small. You could be that drop of water that just makes things better. I have so many people that come to me wanting to know what would be the best job to be able to fill their wants, their needs, to give them a sense of purpose, and hopefully to be able to change the world to become a better place. And this video is sponsored by a nonprofit that can do just that. 80,000 Hours is a nonprofit that aims to help people find, careers that aim at solving the world's most pressing problems. Have you ever taken one of those career aptitude tests at school or on your own where they ask you a list of different things that tell your preferences? Do you like to work outside? How sociable are you? And then it tells you what you should be. You've just felt confused about whatever is this based on and why has it recommended that specific career path? Most career advice is kind of cookie cutter, or it gives you those basic jobs that you just kind of already expect and possibly have already looked at. It might focus on those few mainstream, obvious paths and doesn't take into account some of the best available evidence and how that can actually find you a fulfilling career. Most importantly, relevant career advice can be really hard to find if you care about doing some good, some positive change in the world today. There are probably a lot of different options that are out there that you haven't even thought of. 80,000 Hours helps you find a career path that is both fulfilling and can make a big positive difference on yourself and the world around you. The name comes from the numbers of hours in an average career. 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year for 40 years. That is a lot of time. And anything that you are going to spend a ton of time doing, you should probably find that career that is going to be your biggest opportunity to have an impact, and an impact that you want to choose. 80,000 Hours have done 10 years of research into how to find a fulfilling career that does a lot of good. And it turns out that the best way to make positive difference might be pretty different than the ones you've already thought of. They also avoid those platitudes and unsupported generalizations. In fact, all of their recommendations are based on careful research and consideration with experts in the relevant fields. And if you want real advice that goes beyond those empty cliches like follow your passion or these are your dreams, then 80,000 Hours can help. The best part though is that everything that they provide is free, forever free, because they're a non-profit. Their only aim is to help solve some of global problems that are in the world today and help people find the most impactful career that they can. And if you join the newsletter, you will get a free copy of their in-depth career guide sent directly to your inbox. Just sign up at 80,000hours.org/Georgia. Get started planning a career that works on the world's most pressing problems. Signing up now at 80,000hours.org/Georgia. Yes, use that link, please. It helps out my channel, which I would greatly appreciate, and can help you find some ideas of different careers that you might really enjoy and help the world at the same time. So thank you so much to 80,000 Hours for sponsoring this video, and thank you. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And you can let me know if you would like to see a breakdown of more of Expedition 33 or not in the comments below. If a lot of people want it, perhaps that's what we'll do. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.
Mon grand-père arrive avec des ciseaux. Il me coupe mes fesses en 2000 morceaux.